Stephanie Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hi, everyone. Happy Magicmind launch. Welcome to the Magicmind Unveiled live stream. I'm so excited to be here with all of you and just share all of the details about Magicmind, how it is shifting, what you get access to, dropping into the deeper purpose and the intention of the container for Magicmind, some additional things that are coming with this round that I haven't done in the past. I'm going to dive into all of that, including some bonuses if you apply by today. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. I'm going to go into everything, and I'm going to go into sharing who this is a best fit for, and if you aren't quite a good fit, the reasons why that might be. I'm going to share a little bit more from the spirit of Magicmind herself. I'm also going to talk about your offers are your arts. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I might be on here for quite a while. So go and grab a drink, settle down, chill out, chill with me. Let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know how you're feeling. I'm just really excited to be here with all of you. So let's just drop in. I'm going to put myself on Do Not Disturb. And let's just drop into our bodies together. Let's just take a couple of deep breaths. Just fill our bodies with what we're grateful for this morning. Let's take another deep breath together. I'm just feeling so much gratitude as I drop into my body. I'm just feeling so much gratitude to be able to show up as my truest, most authentic self with all of you and be able to be in this very authentic place in my life, in my business as a CEO, to be able to be making decisions in this way and moving in this way. So this live stream is really just going to be about, being the version of you that allows you to drop into a portal like Magicmind and opens up a time collapsing experience. Right? And I'm going to go into why there's no mastermind like this on the planet. There will never be. I can confidently say that 100%. Like, anyone who jumps into Magicmind says it to me. I say it to them. If you're a match for Magicmind, you will absolutely be like, yeah, there is no mastermind like this on the planet. There will never ever be. This is a mastermind in its own unique form completely. And I'm so proud of it. And I'm proud of it in a way where I feel like sometimes as leaders and as artists, you obviously create the art, but at a certain point, the art kind of takes form of its own, right? Like, I'm rereading Harry Potter, and, I think of Harry Potter and I think of this beautiful legacy it's created. And I know that a lot of the Harry Potter fandom is kind of disconnected from J.K. Rowling in a lot of ways. But I don't really think about so much the author, right? I think of this incredible legacy of Harry Potter. Hi, Steph. And I think about Harry Potter as in its own way. And I kind of feel like that's what Magicmind is shifting into. Obviously, I'm still coaching it and I'm still leading it. And so I'm very much involved. So someone would always have to be very aligned to me and my teachings. But I feel like Magicmind has taken form in its own way, where it's like, it almost like runs itself. And what I mean by that is, like, I saw it a little bit in the round before this round, but I really saw it in this current round, where, you know, sometimes when you're a newer entrepreneur, you feel like you need to offer more and do more in order for people to feel like they're getting what they quote unquote came for. In this current round of Magicmind, I have seen it become an ecosystem of its own, right? People are reaching out. People are flying out to see each other. People are getting the coaching that they need. And it's not necessarily coming from me. People are like, we went to a live event. I facilitated this beautiful in-person live event. At the end of it, they were calling each other sisters, right? And then they were already creating plans to fly out to see each other and spend time together, right? They're already planning out how they can meet and do something like this together again, even if I do not host it. Right? They're in the Slack community, coaching and supporting one another in such deep ways. I interviewed one of my Magicmind students, Jo. She's a sex and relationship coach. And yesterday she said, one of the most beautiful things in Magicmind is I've been able to hold that space for a lot of people inside Magicmind. Not only has space been held for me and I've been witnessed and I have a sisterhood, but I'm also able to be in a place where I can hold that space intentionally for these other women. And she was talking about how she's stepping into like her sage era, right? She's stepping into that version of herself where she wants to be able to offer that guidance. She wants to be able to do that. And I think that's the thing about people who join Magicmind. It's not like they're just going in and getting what they want and leaving. They're jumping in and they're joining a community and a sisterhood where there's a culture and there is an air of let's come together, let's support each other and challenge each other. And I see you, and you're not going to hide here, and you're going to come out as your most unapologetic self, right? Something that I really value is long-term relationships, and not just mentorship relationships. I see business as the whole woman, right? So it isn't just like, you and me, and we're on the Zoom call, and then that's it. It's like, I know the name of your cat and your dog and your kids and where you live and what you enjoy and your favorite foods and some of the things you've navigated in your childhood. It's like we're texting, we're sending memes back and forth. Like, I've had coaches in the past where I didn't feel like I loved their work, but I didn't know them. I didn't have any connection to them, right? I didn't feel like a personal link to them at all. And that's totally fine, right? Not everyone has to show up in this way. But something that's really important for me personally is building these really tight knit and like loving relationships with my clients where we do life together, right? Where we know who we each other are, right? Where we get to do beautiful work together, right? Where it's like, it's not, so much of traditional business has been compartmentalizing of the personal and the professional, or the CEO and the intuition. And so much of it has been like, show up professionally, show up, and like, this is how you should act as a professional, person in this role, in this position. And it completely takes away from like allowing our business to be the evolution and the expression of our soul's greatest purpose. And that's one of the things that Magicmind is deepening into more and more and more and more and more, is it's deepening into this portal and this container that is focused on purpose, right? That is focused into like a purpose-focused paradigm, right? Where you come in, there's legacy healers, there's magicians, there's witches, right? We're all coming in, we're building a body of work, right? We're building our body of work. You're stepping into your artistry. You're stepping into your witchery, right? You're stepping into your spirituality. Every single round, my students have said, thank you for holding a space for all of me to come here, right? Most of my spiritual women, spirit-led, values-driven, big heart, sensitive entrepreneurs, emotional, like connected to your emotions, connected to your intuition, the star seeds of the industry have tried to like condense and constrict to be in other business masterminds in order to get the coaching they need and kind of water down their spiritual side. This is a spiritual energetics mastermind. This is an energetics mastermind and a purpose-driven mastermind and a mastermind about magnetism and frequency over anything else, right? It's like marketing and sales and messaging through the lens of energetics and magic and the mysticism, right? So it's like everyone in the container, you're not looking around and going like, is it okay to say this? Like, we're talking about past lives. We're talking about, extraterrestrials. We're talking about your past life regression. We're talking about energy healing. We're talking about your chakras. We're talking about tantra and sex and relationships and intimacy, right? We're talking about your messaging and how it relates to something specific that you're moving through in your personal life. We're talking about you as the entire human. Every part of you is brought here. It isn't just you as the CEO. Okay, now I'm doing CEO work. It's life, it's business, it's energetics, it's who you are as the whole human. I've always said that from the beginning. Magicmind is a mind, body, soul mastermind. If you are coming here for cold hard strategy and for someone to just tell you what to do, this is not the place. You can find that pretty much anywhere else in the industry. This is where you come home to yourself and you build a deep relationship with me as your mentor and the other sisters and women inside this all women container, right? And the women who choose to say yes are absolutely out of this world. The women who have already said yes, they don't know when the call dates are. They don't even know these details. They're finding out as you're finding out right now. Some of them are on this call or on this live. They're not going back and forth asking a bunch of questions. They're just listening to themselves, and they know that when they say yes and when they jump in, they're going to get what they came for, right? And some of these women, not all of them, some of them, we're planning to invest at the old price point. And the price, not only did I shift the container and shift the launch back, I raised the price. And they're still like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm all in, right? And some of them are like, yep, I'm going to pay that in full. Just like I decided to pay the previous price point at full. I was planning to do that. And now I'm just going to pay this price point at full, right? It takes a certain level to create that. It takes a certain level to say yes to that. It takes a certain level of person to jump in and, and make that brave move in their life. So this is not a mastermind container that's going to teach you a ton of one size fits all strategies, right? That's not what we're doing here. This is not about my success. This is not about a blanket what works and everyone doing the same thing. That's not what we're doing here. Or my way is the only way to success. That's not true either. This is not a container where you're fed like action, 3-step frameworks, do this, do that, do this, do that. This is not a container where something isn't going the way that you desire and you're just going to be fed more and more action and strategy. That's also not what's going to happen here. I would say like 95% of the time, like you're not going to be told to do more or add more onto your plate. This is also not a container where we're upholding logical, reasonable, or practical advice and tactics. We're not playing in the realistic, logical realm, right? Like that's just not what we do here. And you will be challenged. You will be encouraged to take very big and bold and brave and scary risks in your business. This is where you are going to be pushed outside of your comfort zone. You're going to show up as the most unapologetic version of you, right? So this is not necessarily a place for you to just feel safe. Yes, you're going to be held. Yes, you're going to be witnessed. Yes, you're going to up level, right? Like there's people who are going to hold that space for you, but you're going to be charged and seen and supercharged, right? Your energy, your magnetism, you're going to be given the kick in the pants when you need it, right? So check in with your nervous system and make sure that this is something that feels aligned to you and aligned to where you are in the season of your business. Okay. So what's going to happen is when you apply, it has to be a fuck yes for you. And then when I read the responses, I'm going to check in with how I feel in my body. And it also has to be a fuck yes for me as well. Or there won't be an acceptance, through this specific time frame. And I might tell you why. I might tell you there's some specific things that I'm looking for to be a part of this container. And yeah, so that's something that's going to be really important, is keeping the integrity of the container and making sure that it is beneficial for everybody and it is the aligned, energy for everybody as well, depending on what you're coming in here for, what you're desiring based on your answers. So when you're sitting down to apply to Magicmind, really sit down with every single one of these questions. I would light some candles, turn it into a ritualistic experience, right? Sit down and journal and, get out your last 12 months revenue and how much you've made in your offer, right? Have all of those things ready. And so you don't have to go and search for them, and really, really deeply connect with the spirit of your business. Not only are these answers for me so that I can determine if you're a good fit for this mastermind, but these answering these questions on the application form is also for you, right? These questions are going to help you understand yourself even deeper and build a deeper relationship with your business and the spirit of your business, right? So as I'm going through these answers and I'm reading through these responses, I'm really looking for, what are you desiring and intending to build and create inside this container together, right? What is that looking? What are you looking for? Are we a good match to work together, right? For the people I've already worked with in some capacity, whether it's a mini course or one-on-one or through BAA, that's already most of the time is absolute yes. But for people that we've never worked together in any capacity, that's what I'm really looking for through your responses is where are you looking to be supported, right? First of all, what are you looking to be supported in? What are your main focuses inside this mastermind? What are you focused on? What in this season of business do you want to create, right? And then also, what have you already created? That shows me already what you're taking responsibility for, how much you've gone out to experiment, right? Because once you get over that kind of starter hump, you are okay, I'm taking action, I'm experimenting, I'm playing, right? I'm evaluating. And by the time you get inside Magicmind, you have to have already been taking action and putting yourself out there, working with clients, selling your offer, right? And putting yourself out there in a way where you are taking responsibility for the things that are happening, which also shows me that you're building emotional capacity and energetic capacity to withstand more and more discomfort, which means that you're also ready to experience more and more joy, celebration, wins, etc. Right? We can't have what we desire without the things that we don't really desire. And, we have to be able to take the good with the bad, especially as we're building out a thriving business, right? One of the biggest things that we do in Magicmind is the embodied method. And the embodied method is a messaging tool and strategy where you get so clear, not necessarily specific, right? Because there's a lot of talk out there about it needs to sound clear to a 3-year-old, right? And it's that's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily what we're talking about. But The embodied method helps you to become so clear when you're talking about your offer, when you're expressing your offer, so that you allow yourself to connect with your most aligned people, your most aligned community, who are meant to be inside your space, who are meant to be working with you. So that means using some of the language that they're using some of the keywords that they're using, right? Identifying some of the desires that they have. So instead of teaching pain points and driving pain points to make someone feel shame or guilt or you just uncomfortable, icky feelings, we get to drive desire, right? Because desire to build something, desire to do something, desire to be something is also really powerful. So if we are not getting people to say, well, I feel so behind on this. I guess I should join this program because it's going to save me. And all of these more disempowered ways of thinking, we get to create language and messaging that is empowering, that is embodied, right? That allows you to be literally in your body, and then you are speaking from the soul of your offer into their heart, into their soul, into who they are, right? And that gets to be a really beautiful, connected, intimate start of a relationship. Right? Because even if it starts from this place of you have to buy this offer and you need to be in this thing and this is going to save you, even if they buy for that reason, it is not an empowered relationship, right? It's not an empowered container. It's not an empowered decision. So the way in which they make the decision is what dictates the experience of the container. So someone purchases out of like victim mentality, save me mentality, you have to be the one. It's like they're typically the clients that aren't taking responsibility, that aren't going out of their way to do the work, right? So I always encourage my students to make the most sovereign, autonomous, powerful, empowered decisions for themselves, especially when they're investing. And when you create messaging through the embodied method, right, which talks about like, what are they stepping into? How are you serving them? What is your specific unique framework and philosophy? Who do they become afterwards? The embodied version of themselves, right? The embodied zone. So who's their embodied zone? And then how does this end up serving who they are and everyone that comes in contact with them for the rest of their life, right? This is like the lifetime value. This is like the purpose of your work. Right? It isn't just the 6 months together. It's not just the 3 weeks that's really short, but it's not just like the 8 weeks together or the 12 weeks together, right? Even if your container is like, 6 to 8 months long, it isn't just that time frame. It is the way in which it shifts every single thing for the rest of their lives, right? And I'm shifting into more long-term mentorship and working with clients that continue to re-sign over and over, right? But I've also had containers in the past, and also I'll run like little mini offers as well. Like that's always done really well for me. But anytime I've done like a shorter container, I can see how like sometimes the container will end and it'll be like everything that they experience, outside of the container, while they're moving through the container. It's like now they just look at life differently. I have so many clients that have worked with me in like a small capacity, or they've worked with me in the past, and then they come back and they work with me again, right? Because it's like our work is constantly evolving and still showing up in their life. It wasn't just the 6 months, right? And I was having a one-on-one with this incredible woman who's inside Magicmind, and I've also worked with her in the past. She's been in a previous round of Magicmind. Her name is Cecilia, and we're talking about how she's a language teacher, right? And I think for each one of us, regardless of what it is that we offer, some more than others, depending on society, where you are, how you're feeling, kind of your own narratives. But sometimes we feel like, are people going to pay that? Are people going to want to be in my containers? Like, is it is it like, even if you've sold so many times, right, which she's already done so well in her business for years now, right, like she's living like her dream life. It's like when we talk about like high ticket offers, because that's what we're talking about building out, you know, there's this fear of like, is my work that important, right? And regardless of what you do, the answer is yes. The answer is a yes, right? Like it isn't just like, and sometimes we have to go out of our ways to see how our offers are our art, right? Like we really have to go out of our way and experience it through our client's lens, which is why when you work with more and more clients and you get more and more of their feedback and you get to be in communication and relationship with more and more of them, you get to see firsthand how this is shaping and shifting their life. You start to have conversations and sessions with clients where when you first met, they would have never said the things that they're saying now, right? That's why I'm also prioritizing that longer term mentorship, containers, and relationships in my life, is because I'm not meant to just do like short stints and short sections of work together. I'm designed, my energy is designed, and my offers and my own work and purpose is designed for longer term mentorship, right? So when we talk about your offers are your art, they're your art because this is something that doesn't just impact them for the time that you're working together. It impacts the way that they show up for their kids and their partner and their life and their career and whatever it is that they end up doing for the rest of their lives. Even if we just take like a simple painting, right? You buy a painting, you hang it up on the wall, and you know, it's not a program, it's not a course, it's not a container. It's literally just, you know, it's a piece of artwork. And people have paid, you know, for 3 figures, 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures for a piece of art. For a piece of art, right? And sometimes the more expensive it is, the more it looks like the more, let's just say, the more like interpretive it is, you know? And it's really just like, you know, how someone relates to the art. It's how someone feels when they look at the art. It's how someone feels energetically connected to that art. Right? So it's not about like, oh, this piece of art actually took 10 hours, so it needs to be more expensive. And this other piece of art only took 1 hour, so it's less expensive. No, this is where we start getting into the conversation of like not looking around to see what other people are charging and charging market rate prices, but actually looking at like, how aligned do I feel to this offer, right? What is the pricing that this offer wants to be priced at? Right? What price does this piece of art want to be priced at? So when you look at it from that lens and you see yourself as an artist, as a creative, because we all are here, right? However you define yourself and your work, this is creative work. This is artistry. This is a connection to something that is not necessarily us. I mean, it is in a way, but it's more so like the spirit of offers, the spirit of this art coming through us and wanting to be expressed into the 3D physical realm, right? Before an artist puts their pen, their paintbrush to the canvas, or a writer puts a pen to paper, they have some type of vision. They might not have the whole masterpiece, right? That's rarely the case. I could have never planned to be where I am now in my business when I first started. But they have some type of vision. They have some type of inkling. They have some type of urge, right? To like get this out on a piece of canvas or get this out on a piece of paper, right? Like a lot of you know, I published 2 books. They're on Amazon to purchase, when I was in high school, and it came to me in a dream, and I couldn't not stop thinking about it. Like I couldn't stop. I was like so enveloped and so I was already being sucked into this world, right? Like, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, I just need to start writing this out. Maybe if I start writing this out, it'll start making more sense. I started writing it out and I just didn't stop. I just couldn't stop. Right? I would be writing in math class. I would take it. I would like be writing as I walked in the hallways, right? My friends always just kind of expected that of me after a certain point. I would be writing during lunch and, not recess, but like we would have little break periods and I would be writing throughout those periods. I would have notebooks on notebooks on notebooks. I'd be crossing things out, rewriting them, and then I would take them home and I would type up everything I wrote up that day. I did that consecutively for months and months and months and months until my book was finally done. And I did that. And then I did that for my second book as well, even though I was a little bit older. And so I was in my like senior year of high school and I was, shifting through some other things, but like that's pretty much how I feel when I'm birthing an offer, right? That's pretty much how I feel when I'm bringing something to life, is like you're seeing your offers and you're seeing your business as an expression, a radiance of your soul's purpose and this vision that you feel needs to be experienced, right? Your magic needs to be experienced. Your medicine needs to be experienced by your most aligned people. And inside Magicmind, this is something that we deepen even more, is like, who are the most aligned people who you don't have to convince, you never have to, and also what I'm hoping to share with my students is giving them a sales experience that they can look back into and go, wow, she didn't have to convince me. And I didn't ask like a million questions. I might have asked a couple of questions to see if it's a good fit. And then I just jumped in and I felt very intuitively guided. That's kind of the experience I want to open, because like I don't reach back out. I don't I'm not like, hey, just following up, I haven't heard from you. Like I don't do any of that in my sales. And I'm hoping that with not just my Magicmind students, but all of my students in general, that they see sovereign sales, sometimes for the first time, play out in a way where they're like, wow, this is how easy it gets to be, because they're on the receiving end of it. And then now that they're on the receiving end of it, they get to go and take that experience and bring it to their most aligned clients and bring it to the people that they want to work with, like the most dream clients that they could possibly work with, right? And yeah, I think that happened the other day where someone wanted to join my mini course and I shared a little bit about it, and she asked a question, and I was like, I gave her an answer, and I don't even remember what the question was, to be honest, but I think it was something about like who this is a good fit for. And I was like, yeah, I'd really love to have you, right? I think that you're going to get a lot out of it based on where you are, blah, blah, blah. And she came back, I think it was like a day or two later. She was like, you know what? I'm really feeling that it's like a no in my body. And I really want it to be a yes, but like, I'm not feeling like I feel aligned to it, but I just don't feel aligned to like investing this right now at this price point or whatever it might have been. I don't remember exactly what she said. And she was like, but I know that we're going to work together. I know that we're going to work together in a different, deeper capacity. And I can't wait for that, And then I responded and I said something along the lines of like, I really respect and honor your sacred no. Thank you for listening to your body. Thank you for trusting your intuition when it's not a good fit for you. That's coming up for a reason. So I'm so glad that you listened to your body. This is really important, right? I would love to work with you in a space that feels even more aligned. And yeah, it was just such a beautiful conversation. And the way I responded, I was just like, celebrate your no, right? I told her, I was like, because I could tell that it was hard for her to say that. I was like, celebrate that it is a no and that you get to listen to your body and that you have a clear response here. And she told me that like receiving that response, she ended up crying because she had never received a response like that before to someone saying no to her. In fact, it had always been like a response on the opposite end of the spectrum. And here I was holding space for her no, and creating comfort for someone to not just say yes, but comfort for someone to say no, right? I think that's a really powerful way of doing sales. And that's what I teach to my students. And that's really what Magicmind is about. So yeah, I think that's really important, because then when your offers are your art, they're not you, they're your art, right? They're your work. So you get to detach from it in a healthy way, to where it's people aren't saying no to you. People are just saying no to this exact experience in this time frame. They might say yes to the same experience 6 months later. Or they might say no to this container, but yes to a higher investment later. That's happened all the time for me. Someone said no to a smaller investment, and then they jump into my highest offer. And it's just like, it's just going to happen, you know? And so having that healthy disconnection from, like, it's not you, right? It's not you they're investing in. They're investing in the offer. They're investing in themselves. They're investing in their own life, their own business, right? If you're a business coach. So, okay, it's almost been an hour. Let's talk about what you get access to inside the Magicmind container and the way that it has upgraded and up-leveled. So, as most of you know at this point, Magicmind has shifted from a 6-month cohort, where I used to do 6-month launches every 6 months, and then every 6 months there would be a different round of people. So now it's going to be a 12-month rolling container. And what that means is we're all starting together in May. And we're never going to do a stop and start situation again. We're all starting in May for everyone who's jumping in before May. And for the people who jump in after May, so say you jump in like July of this year, right? You get access from July this year to July next year. And anyone who's jumping in for May, their payments are going to start now. So the payments are still only going to be 12 months if you're doing the 12-month payment plan or the 6-month payment plan. Whatever you're doing. Obviously, there's also a pay in full option. But anyone who's joining before May, your payment starts now, and it's just a 12-month cycle. So it might end next February, but your container will be accessed from May to May. So obviously, it would still be 12 months. It wouldn't be like May to February, right? That wouldn't make sense. So that would be May to May for anyone who's joining now. We're all starting together at May to kind of kick off this cycle. And then more people will kind of jump in later on, depending on if there is spots available. So that is another thing about this mastermind, is it's really going to be dependent on if there is availability, if there is capacity, so I can still keep this an inner circle mastermind, right? That's something that's important to me, especially for this container. I'm building out a lower level 1 tier that's going to be holding more people. It's going to be lesser touch, like lesser proximity to me. But mastermind. Yes, Magicmind and mastermind are like these words that don't even like compute in my head anymore. Anyway, inside Magicminds, I desire it for it to be this mastermind experience where it is still like high touch, close proximity, my inner circle, my highest way of working with me other than one-on-ones, which I'm really not. I'm probably not going to be selling that for maybe until later this year. You know, because I have spots that are filled. Anyway, so the mastermind would really be that like highest proximity, close knit, you know, container. And like I mentioned, it's really going to be focused even deeper on purpose work, legacy work, who you are, who you're becoming, who is emerging in this moment, right? So 12-month access, that is one of the biggest shifts. And I believe that this structure will support everybody involved, right? Like when I was doing 6 months at a time, I really felt like we were just getting to the good stuff at 6 months. Like we were just starting to really build relationship. We were just starting to really get to know each other. We were just starting to, really understand each other's, like my client's business, their vision, their energy, right? So much to a point where like I would get to know someone so well that like, I would know exactly how to coach them, as soon as they started talking, like I could feel into their energy, I could tap in to their highest self, be able to guide them, right? And then I could even like, and I am like psychic, intuitive, right? Like I have those gifts and abilities. So sometimes it's like, it's like the question underneath the question, right? It's like, what are they not saying? And after a while, you just get to pick up on that with your clients that work with you longer term. So as like, especially the clients that have worked with me over and over and over, like I have a client who's worked with me since 2021, one-on-one. And so we've worked together one-on-one, meeting consistently since 2021. It's 2024, y'all. And so immediately when she says something like, I know how to coach her, because we've built this relationship over the years where it's become like closer and closer and closer, like, we're friends. And so there's a deepening there that I really love. So I wanted Magicmind, which is this high touch, close proximity mastermind, to have a longer time frame where my students don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to get everything I need within the 6 months. I have to like go through all the call replays. Like I have to do all of this. I didn't never wanted there to be an energy of like, oh no, we're coming to the end. Let me like try to get everything I need. Let me like make sure I'm on my like quote unquote best behavior and get everything, within that time frame. When you're in a 12-month container, that's an entire year, right? That's like a whole year together. So you get to ebb and flow, and that's what mastermind, that's what life is, right? And again, this mastermind holds space for all of you as the whole woman, as the whole human, right? So you get to have those months where you're ebbing and flowing, where sometimes one month is just a particularly hard, challenging, difficult month, right? And then you get to have the month where you're like, yeah, I'm all in, go, go, go. Like, let me do all the things. Let me like all of it, And it's like, you let yourself do that because you're like, yeah, I'm being held in this container for 12 months, right? I don't have to rush. I don't have to speed through anything. I am building relationships for an entire year. I'm building a relationship with my mentor for an entire year, right? And so that's really the beauty of it, is it doesn't have to be rushed. It doesn't have to be like, oh, it's only a 3-month container, or it's only a 5-month container, which is what it used to be. Or it's only a 6-month container. Like now it gets to be, what would happen if you said yes, like fuck yes, all in, right? Whatever that means to you specifically, for an entire year. And you commit to yourself, not to me. This is not about me, right? This is not about my students investing in me. It's about my students investing in themselves, in their own business, in their own growth, in their own transformation, in their own legacy. Right? That's something I'm really clear about. Like, it's not about me. It's about you saying yes to yourself, right? So that's something that's really important, is the access to the Magicmind experience for 12 months. We're doing bi-weekly Magicmind only hot seat live calls at least 2 times a month. And you'll see things, because once you jump in and we start in March, obviously everyone's going to get access to this Magicmind calendar, right? So you'll add the calendar to your own calendar so you can see it. And the call dates are going to, they're going to be different throughout the month. And I'm also going to add little pop-up calls. So we might have our 2 regular kind of live calls. And then I might have a call where I pop in and we're like, okay, let's just talk about energy and magnetism on this call. And that's it. Right. And let's just get all the coaching you need for this. And I'll have a specific training, or I might do like a Magicmind only exclusive training on like updated, like selling in the stories or selling in the DMs. And here are like all of the screenshots and things that I've updated and things that I'm doing, and maybe even like a case study that's worked really well. And here's how you can make it your own, right? or maybe the next month, I'll throw in like a fun copy workshop. So everyone bring your copy and let's all just like mastermind and give everyone feedback on your copy. We've done like embodied zone calls where it's like embodied method calls where you come in and you talk specifically about how to articulate your offer. So you are never, ever, ever wondering how to talk about your offer online ever again, right? If you're in BAA, you know that this, and then also that's another thing is Magicmind gets access to my level 1 tier, which is going to include BAA along with all of the live courses and programs I run this entire year. So now not only do you have access to the Magicmind curriculum, past call replays from all of the Magicmind rounds, which honestly is worth the investment alone. Like, those are some gold nuggets in there. Absolute gold, right? Every single testimonial that you see from Magicmind who's like, I had a 20K month, I had a 30K month, I have 4 times my investment, I have 6 times my investment. All of the things that are happening inside Magicmind are happening on these live calls, right? So going back and watching those live calls and getting the coaching and applying them to where you need coaching, some of it might not apply, right? So don't take all of it. Sometimes it really is just for that specific person to do a specific thing. But, listen to the coaching where it feels relevant for you. It's essentially like, and some of my amazing students who have already jumped in, I've been talking to some of them in the DMs, and it's been really cool because some of them have already been jumping in and getting what they need before the container even starts. That is a high achieving, go-getter, soulmate aligned client, right? Someone who's like, the calls haven't even started and I'm making the most of my time here and I'm going to jump in and just start getting coached by Tiffany through these replays. That is such a way to that's what I've done. When I've jumped in early to mastermind, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get everything I need. I'm gonna do what I need, even before the container starts, right? Anyway, so yeah, gold, absolute gold in that course portal. So when BAA shifts into the course portal, which is going to be very soon, I'm just going to automatically grant everyone in Magicmind access to that tier that's being built out right now. I'm prioritizing the Magicmind launch and build out of the program, and then I'm focusing on that level 1 tier that's going to shift into more of an all access pass, live coaching, right? It'll kind of be like mastermind style, but not the close proximity inner circle mastermind that Magicmind is. And of course it'll be at a lower price point as well. So if someone's watching this or watching the replay and thinking that you're not quite ready for the mastermind, you're not quite ready for a high touch, more advanced container, then the level 1 tier, what BAA is shifting into, would be a really great option, especially if you're just starting to get in touch with my teachings and the way that I teach and the way that I show up and the way that I serve my clients. I mean, I'm a very specific kind of, coach and person. And so I really want to work with the people who are yes, all in, right? They really align to my teachings. They really align to the way that I coach. We're also inside Magicmind doing quarterly high touch masterminds. So these are calls, these are masterminding calls that we might do a full day where we just break out into breakout rooms and we have specific prompts and we're all going around and we're masterminding on specific things. It might be, a 3-hour, group VIP day or something, right? So each quarter I'm going to come up with something fun and creative that everyone inside Magicmind will get access to in a way where you are not only building sisterhood with everyone in there, but you're also getting high touch coaching, anything you need, bring it to the table, right? How is someone else doing some specific thing that might not have come up in the coaching calls that you can take and be oh my gosh, that's genius. I'm going to go and try that, right? Or I'm going to experiment with that. I just think especially in a mastermind container, the whole goal is to learn from the people around you, right? So there's going to be some people who are at, a much higher revenue income bracket than you are. And then there might be people who are a little bit lower. You might find yourself in the middle. You might find yourself leaning one way or another. And there's so much value in being, this is what I used to say. I found so much value in being like the lowest earner in the room, or not even the lowest earner, but like the one who maybe like knows the least about a specific topic, right? And being open. Like, I just don't think it's useful to go into any room thinking like, I know everything and there's nothing anyone can teach me. And I know everything in here. Oh yeah, I already know that training. I already know. So every time, and this is, I think, part of why I've like the success I've created in my business in a short amount of time, is every single time, even if I'm already hearing things that I feel like I know, I don't let my brain and my ego be like, yeah, we know this, just tune it out. I never let myself do that. I'm always like, there's always something here for me. There's always something here for me. And if you go into every single room with that intention, and you jump on every single call with that intention, I guarantee that your income, your perspective, your lens, your narratives, the stories you're telling yourself, your business, your energy, everything will completely shift 180. I promise. If you go into a mastermind and you're like, I'm going to be able to learn something from every single person, and I really want to give back and share with everyone who's here as well, I guarantee that it'll be such an incredible masterminding experience, right? Like, if you're set on like, I want to do peer coaching, I want to start peer coaching, immediately reach out to someone one-on-one. Hey, we're both in Magicmind together. You want to hop on and talk about our embodied method? And the other person's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's set up a time. Right. And then I see my students going live together and getting in front of each other's audiences. I see my students like working together in their own capacities. Right. Like, that's beautiful. That is a true mastermind community. Right. I am not standing up here going like, oh, you're only going to get what you need from me alone. That's not how this works, right? Magicmind is such a beautiful container with everybody who's coming together to share your unique gifts, and also to receive, right? You're giving, you're receiving, you're showing up, you're expressing, you're bragging, right? You're taking up space. We create a culture of celebration and celebrating your wins inside Magicmind. So if you're anything like me, where growing up, I really wasn't taught to celebrate my wins. I wasn't really taught to celebrate when I achieved something. So I remember when I hit, 200K in my business, that was within the first year, actually. I didn't know how to celebrate myself and hold space for myself, because it was not really something I was ever taught. It was not really something I had taught myself or thought was really necessary up until that point of starting my business. So inside Magicmind, we're creating a culture of celebration. We're creating a culture where we are celebrating wins, where we are going in and allowing ourselves to be seen. Like, there's no way you can hide in a mastermind like this, right? You are showing up, you are being seen, you are being pulled, your shadows are being pulled out and into the light, right? You're alchemizing your pain and things that used to weigh you down and bring you shame, and you're bringing it to this space, right? Like, recently, my students have been so brave in sharing their stories and sharing aspects of their life that they've never shared with anyone, and they're sharing it online. And I'm seeing them post it in Slack and tag one another and share and comment and go, oh my God, thank you for sharing this. I love you. I'm sending you so much love. Like, you got this. Like, there's such a level of like being held and being supported that, like, I look at that and I'm like, wow, like, they are really the ones that have created this for themselves, right? And it's really beautiful, and it's like, there's such a culture of like showing up, being transparent, being vulnerable, not because your audience on Instagram needs to know everything or that you're obligated to share these personal details of your life. That's not what this is about. Like, I sat down and had a really hard conversation with my co-parent last night. And if any of you co-parent, it's just like, sometimes I feel like it would be easier to just be like doing it completely on my own, right? Because it's like the other person, you have to check in, can't move, right? Can't go anywhere. You're like stuck here essentially. I mean, I guess you can, but like, it just makes things a lot more difficult. So anyway, I had this conversation with him and we just sat down. I was like, look, there's just a lot of things that have come up for me that are like bringing me anxiety and I don't feel right about it. I don't like how I'm feeling about it. I just need to have this conversation with you so we can figure out what we're going to do moving forward, right? That's a hard conversation to have. And so I sat down and we had this conversation and, you know, it went better than expected. And, you know, we were very different. So there are always some level of like disagreement and conflict that I can, expect. And it's why I opened the conversation by saying like, I'm not here to attack. I'm, you know, I used like my I statements. I was like, I literally just want to have a conversation. I literally just want to figure out what we can do moving forward to make this easier for the both of us, because this is what's coming up on my end. And here's how I'm feeling. And we were able to move through and create solutions, through that conversation. Right. So I shared about that on my most recent post. And, you know, I felt immediately just like lighter. And I also felt more seen and more myself. Right? So it's not about like, oh, my audience needs to know these things about me. It's like, how can you become such an artist when it comes to storytelling that you let your people in? Because especially when it comes to women and like myself included, we're more emotional buyers, right? So when we invest in someone, it's like we know their story, we connect with them, we know who they are on a personal level, right? If I were to never see someone on video or never be able to connect with someone or never really know their story, I don't know how comfortable I would feel investing in them, even if it's something I really wanted, right? And the people that I've invested in, the highest things that I've invested in, like the 25K mastermind and being in that, like, you know, and the 20K mastermind and other things that I've done, like one-on-one work and things like that. I've invested in those women and men because I felt this connection to them that it might not even have been that I went through their exact story. Sometimes it isn't even that. Sometimes it's just they shared something that I could tell was so vulnerable. I'm like, wow, I feel like I know you better now after that. You know, it might not have ever been something that I experienced in my lifetime, but through them sharing, there's an energy. Okay, here's what it is. Truth is one of the highest frequencies. So when you're telling the truth, it's really hard for someone to like go against that when it's your truth. Right? Like if this is your truth and you are telling the truth and you're being transparent, you are in your most magnetic form, right? Like you are the most magnetic that you could possibly be when you are authentic, you're telling the truth, you're being honest, you're being transparent, you're sharing that aspect of yourself online. That's why I say it's not about that people are obligated to know these things about you. It is that when you're telling the truth, you are vibrating at the highest frequency. You're at your most magnetic and turned on frequency, right? You are your most magnetic. You are literally magnetizing the people who are desiring an emotional connection with you. And here you are putting and expressing and radiating that out into the world. So it isn't even about what you're saying. Like, tons of people follow me that don't co-parent. They're not a single mom. They don't even have kids, right? Like, but they see me in this energy of, let me share my heart with you, right? Like, women do this really well where we sit and we face each other and we look each other in the eyes and we're just like, tell me how you're feeling. How is your day? Right? Like, I love like meeting up with my friends one-on-one instead of like big groups. I've always been that way. Some people like big groups, right? But I really like one-on-one, like quality time. Like, let's look each other in the eyes, right? Let's just like share our hearts. And that is essentially, in my perspective, what's happening when I share specific things with my community is like, here's how I feel. Here's what I'm moving through. And here you get to see me and experience my energy. And even if someone doesn't resonate with the story I'm sharing, because I share a lot of different stories. They resonate with that frequency of truth and authenticity. So when you show up in your most authentic state, right, sharing who you are, who you're being, right? Like a truth about you, something you're moving through, something that feels scary, something that's like a bit of a stretch, right? That's like, oh, I want to share this, but I'm scared of what people might think. That's typically the thing that needs to come out. And after you do it, right, you feel like, wow, I'm really allowing myself to be seen. You know, it's for you in the sense of, here I am showing up unapologetically, and I'm using Instagram or whatever platform as a means to do that. And to be seen and to be my most unapologetic self, because being in that energy period is really important, right? Which is why it was like twofold last night. Number one, I had a really hard conversation with my co-parent, right? Which can bring up a lot of anxiety. And I had so much anxiety, like just driving over, right? And sitting down and having the conversation. I felt very I had to ground myself. I had to journal. I even brought what I had journaled on into the conversation, so I made sure I didn't miss anything. Anyway, I was feeling so anxious and so fearful, and I had so many emotions. So energetically, when I had that conversation with him, it opened up. And I know that that just happened last night, but it already opened up my ability to be more unapologetic in my business. Because if you've hung around me for enough time, you'll start saying that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So this is what I mean by not compartmentalizing business Tiffany, CEO Tiffany versus personal life Tiffany, mom Tiffany, daughter Tiffany, friend Tiffany. It's this is all the same person. I show up as the same person in all of these capacities. I might obviously different containers are going to, require different things of me. But energetically, this is who I am. And I allow what's in my personal life to shift and allow me to shift in my business. And I allow what shifts in my business to influence my personal life. So it's business as the whole woman. And that's really what Magicmind is about, right? And this is also the way that I most like to express my thoughts. It's notice that this isn't just bullet pointed, okay, I'm going to just go through this list and read it all to you. I'm sharing stories. I'm talking about myself. I'm also being vulnerable, right? On this live stream, this is how I express myself. And what we do in Magicmind is we help you to also create and design a way of showing up in your business that's not like me, right? This isn't all right, everyone, let's all learn how to show up in business like Tiffany. God forbid. Okay. That's never going to happen. It's about how can you connect with your truest self in who you are, in your soul, your soul's purpose, your life purpose, your deepest identity, what you came here to do, right? Everyone inside Magicmind has a unique purpose. Even if you don't know how to put it into words, you have a unique 1 in 7 billion purpose. You're so unique. You're so special. And it's also another thing, another side tangent, is like you're also in a room with other people that are also making big, scary, risky decisions, like talking to their family about going all in their business, or their partner who doesn't really understand what they're doing and doesn't really support what they're doing, and being able to be held in community because of that. Or, maybe you're still working your day job, but every single day that you drag yourself there, you feel like your soul is like shriveling up, right? And so you're in a community with other entrepreneurs that the desire to either go full-time or they're already full-time. And you get to learn and be in that energy. And like, they say that you are the average of like the 6 people you hang out with, right? So what better to be in a container where you are being held by all of these brave, beautiful women who are all taking big leaps in their business, where we sit down and we talk about money, right? We talk about high cash months, we talk about offers, we talk about pathways to people paying you, your product suite, long-term mentorship, high ticket offers, pricing based on alignment, your energy, your magnetism, who you are, how you're selling, your marketing strategy, your sales strategy, how to articulate your offer, who's your most aligned client, and then not only that, that's just the business stuff. We're also talking about intimacy, relationships, family, children, motherhood, right? All of these things that make up who you are. I think that's a really beautiful thing about this container that offers that. So, okay, so just to go down the list, to actually go down the list this time, when you join Magicmind, you access 12 months together, bi-weekly hot seat live calls at least 2 times a month. Quarterly high touch masterminds. So that's what I was talking about earlier about, we'll creatively throw something together 1 time each quarter. So 4 times out of your 12-month experience, where we do something just like out of the box, like very like non-traditional mastermind way of like getting together, doing something really fun and crazy. I might like one of the times have everyone go out and get like paints and we'll all just like sit down and do like an intuitive painting session or something. Like, I don't know, like this is just going to be a fun way of like connecting to yourself in a way that you might not have ever done in the past. And that's really what I want to hold space for. And then of course the Magicmind Vault, which means you get access to all of my existing programs and all of the new live classes and programs that I run throughout the year. And you get access to the internet's most amazing sisterhood community. That's priceless. And then also, I'm also planning in-person live events. I'm thinking of doing one in spring and then in the fall. So the first one, since we're starting in May and it's kind of starting this transition, which is another thing I need to talk about in a second. Since we're kind of starting this new iteration, the first live event might be in the summer. So everyone's going to get details for that. Obviously, we'll plan it out and maybe we can even plan it together, which is something that could be really, really fun and special. But what I wanted to share there is like, how often do you ever get to jump in and actually watch a transition and not a pivot. I don't like, this isn't a pivot. It is an expansion, right? It's a transition and an expansion. It's a reiteration of this beautiful container that was already beautiful to start. And now it's expanding. And how often do you get to be behind the scenes of watching a leader, AKA me, be so closely in touch with my spirit of my business and the spirit of my offer, that if these are some things that you're still kind of new to you, or you're still kind of grappling with and you're still learning to strengthen, or even if you already have a really great relationship with the spirit of your business, but you've never done something like this, it gives you, not that you need anyone's permission, but energetically, it gives you this permission to be like, I can do that too, right? And it also gives you this kind of behind the scenes look of things that I'm not sharing to the public. I might on a podcast or I might in a live stream, but here you are getting to learn from and getting to like get coached and ask questions and build a relationship in real time as things are shifting in my business and what that looks like, right? And I think that's really cool. And And so far, some of my students have shared that with me. Like, yeah, to be able to jump in at a time like this feels so divine, and is the reason why I wasn't meant to jump in before. This is like the perfect time so I can learn from you, learn from someone who's doing a transition like this, learn from someone who's like, you know, so connected to the spirit of their business. Like, I haven't seen a lot of business coaches that have been so raw and honest and transparent and vulnerable about these really admittedly scary shifts in their business. And I always try to make it a point to be like, hey, this is what's happening, right? And I want to work with the people who are like, yeah, I see it, I see you, and it's a yes for me. Even though that things are shifting, it's like the most aligned soulmate clients are like, oh, even better, right? So that part's been really, really cool. So yeah, that is all the ways in which Magicmind is shifting. Like, this is really for someone who has already been doing the work in their business, the inner work, transforming their shadows into the light. You're already sharing a bit of your story online. You're already selling your offer. You've already been working with clients. You know what your magic and your purpose is, right? You know who you are. And Magicmind is really going to be more of that deepening, right? You're going to come in and you're going to deepen this work that you're doing in the world. You're going to deepen this legacy that you already are destined for. And now it's going to like ground into you in an unshakable confidence type of way. Yeah, I just think back to like the time where I started my business, where I couldn't even show my face on a Zoom call because I was so scared, and I was such a new coach that I just didn't really know what I was doing, to now being able to just tell everyone publicly, hey, I'm pushing the launch of Magicmind back, and I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm trusting the spirit of my business, and I'm just surrendering to it, and having that energy to be able to do it. Because imagine if I was like, hi everyone, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry I have to do this. Like, this is totally my bad. Like, I didn't apologize once for this. You'll notice in any of my content and in all of the live streams that I did, because there's nothing to be sorry about. In fact, this is a shift in alignment for my students. You know, it's like, it's for them. It's everything I do is out of service, right? And the spirit of my business, spirit of Magicmind, is doing this in service to my students. And I have such a deep connection in that way, where I had no problem raising the price. I had no problem shifting like into these things that are now like different, like not different in the sense of like, it's completely different, but it's deepened, and it's like, yeah, this is really in the highest good for my students, for all of my students. It's really beautiful to see. So anyway, yeah, I think that's something that's really important to share. It's like, you come into Magicmind, it's like a portal. It's like a vortex. It sucks you in, right? I always like to say Magicmind will tap you on the shoulder. And if you know, you know. If you have to like really think super hard on it and take like days and days and days and days, or even weeks, and you still don't really have a clear answer, it's probably not a good fit, at least for the time being. And that's okay, right? Magicmind really is like, she's very clear. She's very direct. When she wants to speak, she's heard. So if you're connecting to the spirit of Magicmind, you'll feel it. If it's like, yes, I want to be in this container. Right? And if it is a yes, honor that yes, right? Fill out the application, create a little ritual, right? Set some candles, like make it a fun experience, right? Like I mentioned, answering these questions it's not just for me to see if you're a good fit for this container. Answering these questions will deepen the relationship with the spirit of your business and the spirit to your offers, right? And really help you have a deeper sense of understanding and knowing and connecting to your intuition as you're filling this out, right? I think there's such beauty in just sitting down in ritual with your business, right? And especially some of the questions that I'm asking in here, it's much less about like numbers and what have you created and all of these things, and more so like tapping into your energy, right? Some of my students have said like they set aside an entire hour and like they cried going through the application. It was so like revealing for them, right? So really sit down, carve out some time. If you're unsure about whether or not Magicmind is the mastermind for you, you will absolutely have an answer by the end of the application process. That is just guaranteed, you know? So if you're applying by tonight, not only do you get the bonus one-on-one call, which I'll offer both today and tomorrow, but today only is the energetic brand audit. So I'll go through your content. I'll share with you like what's coming through, what wants to come through even more that you haven't shared, things that, you know, the spirit of your business wants you to share, which I'm pretty good at like tapping into the spirit of your business and what it wants to say and just kind of being that like middle person, so that you can show up as your most unapologetic sense of self. And sometimes it really is just like an energy or saying something, deepening something, and then it's like immediately clients are rolling in and the floodgates are opened, right? It can happen that fast. It can literally happen that fast. So yeah, I'm just so excited for this iteration. I'm so excited for this transition. I'm so excited for everything that we're going to step into together. And I'm just excited to have this container where like we're not just focused on like cash and bringing in like money and revenue, right? Obviously, this is like, we're going to talk a lot about money and sales and wealth energetics, but this is a container where that's not the only marker of success, right? Sometimes there are containers where that's the only marker of success. And I want to create this energy where it isn't just your high cash revenue wins. It's also, who are you becoming? Who are you deepening into, right? Like this is a container for the witches and the healers and the magicians of the industry, right? That's something you already identify as stepping into this container, right? This is already something that you feel strongly about, your spirit-led self, your values-driven self, right? You as a CEO, you listening to your intuition, you doing things differently, right? You've always been the black sheep of your family, and you've always, you know, done things just a little bit differently, right? Your family's always been like, what is she up to now, right? Type of thing. And when you do that, and when you allow yourself to deepen in that, and you discover who you are in that, there's such a beauty in showing up in your business in this way and being led by that energy, right? Just becomes such a beautiful co-creation. So yeah, this is not a container to just like, you know, just focus on money alone. This is a container where it's mind, body, soul. It's you as the holistic being. It is you as the entire woman, right? It is you as your whole self, right? All of who you are, not just you as the CEO or you as the doer, but you in your feminine and the sacred masculine, right? You creating a sales plan, and also you focusing on your most inner magnetism. Yay! Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Hi, Carmela. So it's all of it. It's all of it, right? This is everything that I have desired in a mastermind. Plot twist, I created a mastermind that like is my dream mastermind. But really, I've been in so many spaces. I've been in so many containers. I've been in so many different spaces, and I've taken all of the things I've loved and all the things I've wanted to see and all of the things that I feel like have been useful for me, and all the ways that have worked really well for me and have worked really well for my students over the past almost 4 years of being in business and coaching hundreds of students to this point. It's probably thousands. But anyway, there's so many people in which I've served, you know, and this is truly a mastermind of all of that brought together in the most special, unique, magical space. And it's a close proximity, inner circle mastermind where it's being capped, right? It's not going to just end up being like a huge mastermind. And even if it does end up being that way, it'll still be very supportive, right? But right now it is still like an inner circle mastermind. And you are going to not only get what you need, you're also going to be able to, this is the best thing about peer coaching, is like, you also get to like serve your other, sisters in the mastermind. And you also get to deepen your own work. Right? You also get to receive like, hey, afterwards, do you mind leaving me like a little testimonial after our peer coaching session? Right? And then you get to deepen your work and go, oh, wow, I do this really well. Oh, I do like XYZ, or wow, she really did experience this and that. Right? So then you get to deepen your work and your purpose in this container with the other women as well. So really it's like, it's a purpose mastermind. It's an energetics mastermind. You come in and you focus on your inner magnetism and who you're becoming and what you came here to do, right? And everything that you stand for, which is such an important aspect of being a spirit-led CEO and business owner. So if you have questions, if you want to chat about it a little bit, my DMs are always open. That is the best way for me to communicate. And see if it's a good fit for you and a good fit for me, and just making sure that it feels aligned as we jump into this iteration of Magicmind. I'm so excited. And there's also something coming in the month of March that's going to be super juicy. Magicmind's going to get access to it. BAA is going to get access to it. But if you're not a part of my containers yet and you want to hear a little bit more about that as well, it's also going to be so much fun. So anyway, applications are in the link in my bio. Sit with it. Okay. Don't rush through it. Create a ritual for it. Move through these questions slowly and intentionally. Sit with the spirit of your business to see what comes through for you. And if you are unsure of whether or not this is a good aligned fit for you, you will know by the end of the application process. Okay. And if you have specific questions for me, please reach out to DM me. I love sending voice notes back and forth and being able to support you in that way and helping you make the most aligned decision for yourself. And that's the thing, is like, I really want it to be such a fuck yes for everyone who jumps in, because that just makes the container, right? An entire container of everyone who's a fuck yes, and everyone who comes together and is like, yes, I'm doing this for myself. I'm investing in myself and in my business and in my next evolution. Imagine who you'll become in a year. In a year. Like what's the quote? We overestimate what we can do in like in a shorter period of time, and then we like underestimate what we can do in a longer period of time. And in a long-term mentorship container where I feel like time is collapsing, things are just going to happen really fast, right? They're going to happen really fast, and because you're so in alignment to what you're creating, right? That's the reason. Like, that's why it's going to feel so in alignment. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I'm really, really excited for all of the women that are already in, all of the women who are applying and jumping into this round. It's already such an amazing container right now as is. So, I'm just really excited. I'm really, really excited. All right. I love you all so much. Thank you for hanging out with me on live for an hour and a half. All these details I shared is inside the Magicmind page. So that's tiffanychung.co/magicmind. You can read all about it. The application link is there. If you have any specific questions or you want me to go into depth, either watch the replay for this live or just send me a message in the DMs and we can talk more about that. And other than that, thank you all for being here and thank you for hopping in, and I love you all so much. Mwah. Bye. Thank you for being here.
much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.